The invitation said it was a chance to win $10,000. All we had to do was last one night inside the Blackwood Manor. They didn't tell us the previous owners weren't just reclusive, they were nocturnal. And they were still very, very hungry. Nightbound Bloodline presents The Crimson Invitation, A Night at Raven's Hollow. What you are about to hear is a testament to the fact that some legends are not merely stories, but hungers that outlive their tellers. The account was sent to us by a young man named Leo, who, along with two friends, willingly walked into a gilded trap. He has provided documentation, photographs, and signed affidavits to corroborate his story. He is, by his own admission, a different person now, a believer in the things that watch us from the velvet dark. This is his story. My name is Leo. I was 24 when this happened. I worked as a line cook at a pub called the Gilded Hare, saving up for a beat-up camper van so I could see the country. I was normal. I paid my rent on time. I argued with my roommate about who drank the last of the milk, you know? I didn't believe in ghosts, or demons, or vampires. I thought it was all just hysteria, a way for people to explain the dark before we had flashlights. I was a see it to believe it kind of guy. And honestly, I thought I'd seen most of what the world had to offer, good and bad. I was wrong. It was my friend, Chloe, who found the contest online. The Raven's Hollow Challenge. Spend 12 hours, from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., inside the historic Blackwood Manor, and split a $30,000 cash prize 3 ways. The fine print was a mile long, full of legal jargon about liability waivers and assuming all risk. We laughed about it. We thought the risk was getting spooked by a rat or a creaky floorboard. $10,000 each for one night of discomfort? It was a no-brainer. The manor was located deep in the Hudson Valley, up a private road that was more pothole than pavement. We arrived just as the sun was bleeding out behind the hills. And I'll never forget my first sight of the place. It wasn't just old, it was consumptive, like a great stone beast wasting away. The spires were skeletal fingers clawing at a bruised purple sky. The windows weren't just dirty, they were black, like the eyes of a dead fish. The air was cold for early autumn, a damp chill that seeped right through my jacket and settled in my bones. There was no sound. No crickets, no owls, no wind in the trees. Just this profound, waiting silence. A man was there to meet us. Mr. Albright. He was tall, gaunt, dressed in an old-fashioned black suit that was a little too perfect. His skin was pale, almost waxy, and he shook our hands with a grip that was cold and dry, like parchment. He smelled faintly of dust and dried roses. He gave us the rules. We had to stay inside until 8 a.m. The doors would be locked from the outside for the integrity of the challenge. We had a single key to the main door if we needed to forfeit. Cameras were encouraged. He smiled, but it didn't touch his eyes. They were the color of old, tarnished silver. The house has its rhythms, he said. Listen for them. And remember, you are guests here. Then he was gone, his black car swallowed by the twilight. The heavy oak door clicked shut behind us, and the sound was final, like a tomb ceiling. We were in a grand foyer, all marble and shadow. Our footsteps echoed in a way that felt disrespectful. Chloe, who's usually a ball of energy, was already quiet, her eyes wide. Our other friend, Mark, tried to lighten the mood. 10 grand, guys. Think of the parties. His voice was too loud, and the house seemed to swallow it whole. We decided to do a quick walkthrough. The place was a museum of decay. Velvet curtains hung in rotten tatters. Portraits of severe-looking men and women in outdated fashions lined the walls, their eyes seeming to track us as we passed. But it was the dust that got me. It was everywhere, thick and gray, except in certain places. On the grand piano in the main hall, the dust was pristine, untouched. But on the lid, right in the center, there was a clear, clean space, shaped like where a single sheet of music might have lain, as if someone had just lifted it. The first real prickle of unease came about an hour in. We were in the library, a cavernous room that smelled of mildew and slow rot. I was looking at a bookshelf, and my eye caught on a leather-bound volume. Its spine was clean, free of dust, while the books on either side were caked in it. I pulled it out. It was a ledger. A list of names and dates, going back over a century. The last 3 entries were from the past 5 years. Next to each name was a single, chilling notation, declined. I didn't know what it meant, but the word felt heavy, final. Then the sound started. Not loud, dramatic bangs. Subtle things. A soft, rhythmic creak, creak from the floor above, like someone slowly rocking in a chair. We'd freeze, hold our breath, and it would stop. The moment we started moving or talking again, it would start up. Mark swore he heard whispering from behind a wall, a sibilant, flowing sound, like a stream of words in a language he didn't understand. Chloe pointed out the cold spots. You'd be walking through a room that was merely chilly, and then you'd step into a pocket of air so frigid it made your teeth ache, and just as quickly, it would be gone. The house was breathing, and it was aware of us. It was past midnight when we saw her. We'd hunkered down in the main drawing room, using our backpacking gear to make a little camp in front of the massive, dead fireplace. The battery on Mark's camera was draining freakishly fast. He was panicking, checking connections. It was at 90% 10 minutes ago. That's when Chloe gasped and pointed up at the balcony that overlooked the room. A woman was standing there, perfectly still. She was tall and willowy, dressed in a gown of deep crimson velvet that seemed to drink the light from our lanterns. Her skin was impossibly pale, like alabaster, and her hair was a cascade of night black curls. She was beautiful, but in the way a preserved orchid is beautiful, lifeless, and eternal. She wasn't looking at us, not directly. Her head was tilted, as if she was listening to a distant melody. "Hello," Mark called out, his voice shaky. We're the contestants." Slowly, so slowly, her head turned. Her eyes found us, and they were wrong. There was no white, no pupil, just orbs of solid, polished silver, like the Man Albright's, but brighter, more liquid. They reflected our lanterns not as points of light, but as a sickly, ambient glow. She smiled. It was a small, polite gesture, but it stretched her lips too wide, showing a sliver of teeth that were too uniform, too sharp, not like fangs, but like the finely serrated edges of a predator fish. She didn't speak. She didn't move. She just watched us, and the feeling that poured off that balcony was not malice, not exactly. It was a profound, ancient curiosity, the way a scientist might observe insects under a glass. We were not prey to her, not yet. We were specimens. Then, she was just gone. Not like she turned and walked away. 1 second she was there, a statue of crimson and pearl, and the next, the space on the balcony was empty. The only evidence she'd ever been there was the sudden, coppery taste of old blood in the back of my throat, a taste that hadn't been there a moment before. After that, the house woke up. The polite facade crumbled. The soft creaking from above became the distinct, measured tread of heavy footsteps, pacing from room to room directly over our heads. Mark, his bravado completely shattered, shouted, "Who's up there? The game's over. We forfeit." The footsteps stopped right above us. A moment of silence, and then a single, loud thump shook a cloud of dust from the ceiling, as if something immense had dropped from the ceiling and landed on the floor. That's when we decided to leave. The $10,000 meant nothing. We grabbed our stuff and ran for the main foyer, our lanterns throwing frantic, swooping shadows that seemed to twist and writhe on their own. The portraits on the walls, their faces had changed. The stern expressions had twisted into sneers of contempt, of hunger. I swear I saw one of them, a man with a gaunt face and a high collar, lick his lips with a black, pointed tongue. The front door was locked. Of course it was. We fumbled for the key, the single key Mr. Albright had given us. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get it into the lock. It turned, but the door wouldn't budge. It wasn't just locked, it was sealed shut, as if the very frame had fused with the stone. A low, melodic humming started from the top of the grand staircase. It was the woman in red. She was descending, not by walking, but by drifting. Her feet didn't seem to touch the steps. She held a silver hairbrush in one hand, idly running her thumb over the bristles. The sound was beautiful and horrifying, a lullaby from a nightmare. "We have to go out the back," Chloe screamed. We turned and ran through the manor, a maze of decaying opulence. Doors we had opened earlier were now slammed shut and wouldn't yield. Corridors we had walked down now ended in blank walls. The house was reshaping itself, hurting us. The smell of dust and roses was now overpowering, cloying, mixed with that metallic blood taste. We burst into the kitchen, a vast, dark room with a cold, ancient hearth. The back door was right there, a sliver of moonlight visible through its small, grimy window. Hope surged in my chest. We were almost out. And then he was there, a man seated at the head of a long, butcher block table. He was older, dressed in a smoking jacket, his white hair impeccably coiffed. He held a crystal glass, swirling a dark, viscous liquid that was unmistakably not wine. He looked up as we skidded to a halt. His eyes were the same liquid silver, but his held a cold, ancient intelligence that made the woman's seem feral by comparison. "Leaving so soon?" he asked. His voice was smooth, cultured, and it seemed to vibrate directly in my skull. "The night is still young, and we have so few guests these days." Mark, driven by pure terror, made a break for the door. He didn't get 3 steps. The old man didn't even rise from his chair. He simply made a faint, flicking motion with his fingers. Mark was thrown sideways as if hit by a truck, slamming into a cast-iron stove with a sickening crunch. He crumpled to the floor, moaning. The man took a slow sip from his glass, his silver eyes fixed on me and Chloe. "Impatience is such a vulgar trait," he murmured. We were so looking forward to getting to know you. Your vitality is quite palpable from the road. A rare vintage in this age of processed food and weak blood. He stood up, and the air grew colder, thicker. It was hard to breathe. The previous contestants declined our hospitality. Such a pity. They lacked the necessary constitution. He gestured vaguely towards a heavy, walk-in larder. The door was slightly ajar, and from within, I saw a pile of what looked like discarded, pale mannequins. Then I realized they were skeletons, picked clean, still dressed in the tattered remains of modern clothing. Jeans, a faded band t-shirt. This wasn't a haunted house. It was a larder. The contest was a way to get delivery. Chloe was sobbing quietly beside me, her hand gripping my arm. The woman in red now stood in the kitchen doorway, blocking our retreat, her head tilted again, that terrible, curious smile on her face. We were trapped between them. The old man took a step forward. "Do not worry," he purred. "The transformation is not immediate. First, the fear must be properly aged. It gives the blood such a delightful tang." I don't know what came over me. It wasn't bravery. It was a final, desperate surge of adrenaline. My eyes fell on the massive, soot-blackened chain that held a cast-iron pot over the cold fireplace. It was the only thing in the room that looked heavy, solid, real. As the old man took another graceful step, I lunged. Not at him, but at the chain. I grabbed it, the cold metal biting into my hands. And with a guttural yell, I put all my weight into pulling it. The pot came crashing down in an explosion of soot and rusted metal, right between us and the vampire. It was the distraction we needed. The ancient creature recoiled, not in fear, but in sheer, utter surprise at the audacity, the unpredictability of the act. His cultured composure broke for a single, precious second, a flicker of outrage on his waxy face. In that second, I grabbed Chloe's arm and we leapt over Mark, who was struggling to get up. We hit the back door shoulder first. It splintered, old wood giving way, and we tumbled out into the cold, blessedly alive night air. We didn't stop. We dragged Mark between us, his arms slung over our shoulders, and we ran. We ran until our lungs burned and the thorns from the overgrown garden tore at our clothes. We didn't look back. We made it to the main road as the sun was beginning to tinge the horizon with gray. A passing truck driver called an ambulance. We told the police we were urban explorers who got locked in and Mark had a bad fall. They didn't believe us, but they had no other explanation. The official report lists it as a trespassing accident. Mark had 2 broken ribs and a concussion. He doesn't talk about that night anymore. At all. Chloe moved to another state, changed her number. She texts me on the anniversary every year. Just one word, alive. I never got my camper van. I work nights now as a security guard. I can't stand the dark. I see those silver eyes in every shadow, in every reflection. I smell dried roses and dust when there's nothing there. That word, declined, it haunts me. It means they said no. It means they fought back. And I understand now, with a certainty that chills my soul, that we didn't escape because we were smart or strong. We escaped because we were lucky, and because we were an appetizer. The main course is still waiting in that house, patiently, for the next curious, desperate souls to answer its crimson invitation. Leo's account, corroborated by his friends and the medical and police reports, paints a picture far more sinister than any simple ghost story. This is not a tale of residual haunts or poltergeist activity. This is a story of a conscious, intelligent predation, a system that has evolved to feed on the modern world's desperation and skepticism. The Raven's Hollow Challenge was a meticulously crafted trap, baited with the one thing so many crave: a quick and easy solution. It forces us to question the very nature of these ancient beings. Are they merely monsters, or are they something else? Aristocrats of the night, cultivating their food source with a cruel and patient elegance. They understand human nature, our greed, our need to believe we are the exception to the rule, and they use it as a weapon. Their hunger is a constant, and places like Blackwood Manor stand as grim reminders that the world's dark corners are not empty. They are occupied, and they are always open for business. If you or someone you know has had a similar encounter with the ancient and the hungry, we urge you to share your story in the comments below. The truth is often hidden in the patterns. If you found this tale chilling, please support our channel by liking this video and subscribing to Nightbound Bloodline for more journeys into the shadows. This has been Nightbound Bloodline. Thank you for listening. Until next time, sleep with one eye open.